welcome to another episode of Garden to Table with Rose, and I am Rose. So today I am on day 2 of the 10-day autumn soup challenge. Now, the last video I made a tomato soup, which was very good, very fast, and I was impressed. So that's one I'll probably keep in my recipe files. Today, however, today's recipe is, red lentil curry soup. Now, this one I'm a little bit nervous about. One, it has a ton of carbs. I mean, I understand that these soups are vegan, but the carb count here has to be astronomical. So this soup not only has lentils in it, but it also has potatoes, carrots, corn, and then it's served with white rice. So that's a ton of carbs. Now, this is going to be my only meal of the day. I'm just doing one meal today, so I have room for the carbs. And I'm also going to have some air fried catfish with mine because I need my protein, and I just happen to have catfish out defrosting. No particular reason why I paired it with this. So let me go over the ingredients. Now, I'm trying to speed this up, so for me, I have prepped all of my ingredients beforehand, and this is a pretty easy recipe, it seems. The first thing you want to do, obviously, is cook some rice for yourself, whether you're going to do white rice, brown rice. You could leave the rice out if you want it to be lower carb, but just the bean soup by itself might not be that filling, so maybe add a protein or something to it. These are all customizable, all these recipes, so you can add meat or whatever else you want to it. So that I like about these recipes. You can mix and match and change things up. So you're going to need your white rice. Mine is cooked in my rice cooker. It's warm, waiting for me. You're going to need 2/3 cup of dry red lentils. And I happen to have, I have lentils, multiple kinds of lentils. And that's because I cook Indian food from time to time. So I keep them on hand. But red lentils, 2/3 cup. You should be able to find red ones at the grocery store, at your regular grocery store. If not, if you have an Indian store nearby, which is where I get mine, then you can always find them there. 2/3 cup of canned corn whole kernel. Now, I hardly ever eat canned vegetables. I don't think I actually ever buy canned vegetables. I usually, if I can't get them fresh, I prefer them frozen. They taste more like fresh. So a lot of things I've swapped out for frozen. Even some of the fresh things that they wanted, I swapped out for frozen because I had it in my freezer. So 2/3 cup of corn. I used frozen corn, but you can use canned corn, fresh corn if you want. 2 potatoes cubed. I used potatoes from my potato harvest. I cut them up pretty small. I use 2 small ones because, like I said, this is already carb heavy, and I'm not really trying to go overboard. So I use 2 smaller potatoes, but use whatever size you like. 2 carrots cubed. So I got that in there. 2 celery stalks finely chopped. I have that in there. I also had some eggplant left over from my garden harvest. I just had like one. I think it was green jade. It's a light pale green color. So I'm actually going to add that to the soup as well, because eggplant usually goes pretty well with an Indian type dish. And when I think lentils and curries, of course, I think Indian. So I got some eggplant in there that I had left over. What else? 2 tablespoons of garlic powder. I used fresh garlic. I had garlic on hand, so I just minced it up. 2 cloves. I used 2 tablespoons of onion powder. I used green onion because I had some green onions in the refrigerator that were, going bad soon. So I decided to chop those up and use those instead of onion powder. 2 tablespoons of curry powder. I am going to use curry powder here. 1 teaspoon dry parsley. I use fresh. I have a ton of it in my garden. So I use probably more than the recipe calls for, but I use fresh. and it's in this bowl. I chopped everything already and put it in this bowl. I'm trying to make these go a little bit faster. You're going to need salt and pepper to taste, 4 to 5 cups of vegetable stock or broth. Now, you could use any kind of stock or broth you want to. This is vegan, so that's why it's vegetable, but if you want to use chicken, beef, whatever kind of broth you got, seafood, it's up to you. Especially if you're going to add a meat. If I were going to like add chicken or something, so you're going to add diced chicken or stir-fried chicken, then I would use chicken broth, you know, that kind of thing. And then they want you to use 2 cups of kale chops, and I use frozen kale because I had it in my freezer. And for a soup, I kind of like using the frozen a little bit better of the kale. I mean, it's already chopped up uniformly and small, and I don't really need it to be crisp or anything because it's going in a soup. So I got my kale here in this bowl. Now, they want you to just literally add all the ingredients except the kale and rice to the pot. And I got my little induction cooktop here. Let me turn it up. So, this is interesting. So I have all of this because, you know, I would have expected them to want you to saute this a little bit first, but nope. So the kale you leave out, you're saving that for last. So that means add all your spices and everything to it. I'm not going to add any salt because of the broth. I want to first taste it and see how that goes. But add all your spices. I'm just going to use this whole thing. It's supposed to be 2 tablespoons. I'm not going to measure it. I'm just going to use whatever's in this bag. It looked like it was about 2 tablespoons. Add your lentils. This is definitely an easy recipe. I mean, it goes together in 2 minutes. And then your broth, I got 4.5 cups, I think, and I make mine extra strong because I like my stuff flavorful. So I usually use 1.5 times the amount of bouillon that's called for. And in this case, I'm using the Better Than Bouillon, the vegetable variety that I used in the last video. I really like that. I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper. Like I said, I'm not adding any salt until after I taste it at the end because that broth is salty. So, you know, it says 4 to 5 cups of broth. So that really is going to depend on how soupy you want it, how liquidy you want it. I mean, something like, to me, a bean soup is supposed to be a little bit thicker. I think of it more like something you're going to ladle on top of maybe the rice, because they say to serve it with white rice. So, from that perspective, I'm erring towards using a little bit more. I used 4.5 cups. I'm going to wait until it cooks down and see how thick it is then, and if I want to add something else, I will. Alright, let's get it all. Now these recipes are supposed to serve 4 people, so it's not a ton of soup. I mean, you can of course freeze it and reheat it, which I probably will end up doing with half of it because I'm, you know, there's a soup each day. This is day 2, so each day I'm making a new soup, so I don't have time for the leftovers, room for the leftovers, so I'll probably freeze half of this. Alright, so they want you to bring it to a boil, and I put the lid on because this induction thing cooks, it's obviously not as hot as my stove top because it takes a while for things to come up to boil. So once it starts boiling, reduce the heat to low, simmer for 25 minutes. Now you got beans in there, so you definitely want those to get soft. So basically, you can check it, you know, a time or 2. You want to just make sure your lentils are soft. That's the longest cooking thing in there, probably. So make sure those are soft. Then once you get it to that point, add your kale, stir until well combined. Cook for a few minutes to just incorporate the kale and heat it up. And then serve with the rice or by itself, it says. So, and also a little note here, they said if you can find it, use fire roasted corn. So you could roast your own corn. I guess you could do that on a sheet pan or a skillet or something on a grill. You could do it in your oven, you know, turn it up really high, like 450 or something, somewhere in there, and or 425, and let your corn char a little bit. But I'm not doing that step. today, not today. So today I want something quick and easy. So I am going to let this reach a boil and then let it simmer for 25 minutes. Really, that's all there is to it. Like I said, you may want to saute your vegetables first in a little bit of oil if you want a richer flavor, but I'm just kind of following what the recipe said. It said to put it all in one pot. You probably could make this in a crock pot or a pressure cooker. I don't know how to change the time and the temperature for that. You have to play around with it, but I'm pretty sure all of these soups could be made in a crock pot or a pressure cooker if you really wanted to. All right, so I'm going to come back when this is all done simmering and plate it up, and I'm going to taste it and tell you guys how I like it. My honest opinion. All right, I will be back. Okay, I am back, and it has been about 30 minutes. I let the soup simmer for about, it was about 30 minutes. I've tasted it. It didn't need any seasoning. I got plenty of salt from the broth. Everything's soft. I stirred in my kale, and the kale has been cooking in here for maybe 3 minutes. So I'm going to turn it off. And I can't do any close-ups today. I only have one camera set up, but it is thick. It's a thick soup. It does have some broth there, so if you're doing it with rice, the rice can soak up the broth, or, like I said, you could probably add meat with this on the side or in it. It wouldn't matter. I used 4.5 cups of water. I think, actually, I probably should have used just the 4, because that way it would have been a little bit thicker to scoop kind of on top of my rice, which is what I'm doing with mine. All right, let's see. Now for garnish, I would just recommend parsley. I don't think you really need anything else. I mean, if you want to do a bread, I would probably do an Indian bread with this, like chapati or something like that if you have it. So that's that. So there is my red lentil curry soup along with white rice on the side, and that's basmati rice. That's actually the only white rice I buy. So now let's taste. All right, so now the only thing left is the taste test. So I have my lentil soup, red lentil curry soup, along with my white rice. Lots of carbs. It seems pretty healthy though, in terms of having lots of veggies. And beans can be healthy. I was a little nervous about the corn. I've never had corn in a curry. It's okay. You don't see me jumping for joy. It's not bad. It's actually tasty. It's just, I would rather have an actual Indian lentil dish or some kind of curry. This is like an approximation. But lots of veggies, lots of healthy stuff in here. You definitely want the rice, because otherwise it's just kind of like almost like a pea soup. All right, so that was recipe 2 of my 10-day soup recipe challenge. It's tasty. I probably wouldn't make this particular dish again. It's just not that appealing to me, but it is tasty. It's not that it doesn't taste good. It's just, nothing about it excites me, so I probably won't make it again. So that was recipe 2, and let's see. So next video. Next video is Thai coconut soup. I'm excited about that one because I love Thai food. I love coconut in all forms. So I'm looking forward to that one. I think, again, this is a vegan recipe, so I think I will be adding chicken to mine. So make sure you stay tuned for the next soup challenge, Thai coconut soup. All right, well, there you have it. It was a really quick meal. I mean, literally, you could have this done in 30 minutes, 35 minutes, and I'm counting time to chop all the veggies. It was just throw it all in a pot and simmer it until it's soft, and then stir in the kale, and that was pretty much it. So it is a quick, easy soup that would work well for like a weeknight or a work night when you don't have a lot of time and you want to eat something relatively healthy. Again, it's a little too high in carbs for me because there's corn, potatoes, lentils, and carrots. So that's and white rice. So that's a boatload of carbs there. But you know, do with it as you will. So thank you for joining me for this episode. And if you haven't already, click like, thumbs up, and then also subscribe to the channel, which you can click that little yellow or orange box you see in the corner of the screen, and that will subscribe you to the channel so you'll get alerts when the next video comes up.